Thank you for joining us. Today we're making babka, a cheese babka to be specific, which is kind of like a cheese coffee cake. And it's really easy to make. You're going to go ahead and take 4.5 teaspoons of yeast and put it into a 1/4 cup of 110 degree water. I want to make sure the water is warm, but not too warm. If it's too warm, it'll kill the yeast. Don't worry about getting it too stirred up in there. Just stir it a little bit so it's not too much of a paste. And I just kind of leave it in there to do its thing. Next, what you're going to go ahead and do while the yeast gets all ready is you're going to take a cup of milk and a stick of butter, and you're going to warm them up on the stove to the same temperature as the water here, which is going to be, like I said, 110 degrees. So we're going to quickly get that done. It'll take about 3 minutes. Alright, now that you've got the milk and the butter combined and sitting at about 110 degrees, your yeast has bloomed a little bit. Get all your ingredients together. You're going to take your egg yolks, and this is going to be 3 to 4 egg yolks depending upon the size of them. You're going to put them in the bottom of your mixer. Go ahead and turn that on and then toss in a 1/2 cup sugar. Let that all mix up and then add a teaspoon of salt. Once all those ingredients get incorporated, I take out my beater, go ahead and put that in the sink or aside. I'm going to go ahead and grab a dough hook. I'm going to go ahead and then, in order, add in my milk and butter mixture, add in my yeast, and once that's all in there, we're going to add 5 cups of flour slowly. I have the speed on the mixer going at a low to a medium low, and this only takes about 5 minutes for all of this to come together in the mixer. I'm going to go ahead and turn it up to medium and just let it all come together. Bit there before we put it inside of a dough tub, and that's where we're going to let it go ahead and proof for a couple hours. So let's go ahead and just beat this a little more. Now you can go ahead if you want and knead this in your KitchenAid and not knead it at all on the counter. I think it's sometimes good to get a feel for it personally with your hands, but do whatever works for you. If it's really hard to knead the dough with your hands or puts a lot of strain and pressure on your wrist, don't worry about it. It'll be fine if you just do it with the dough hook. A lot of the magic's going to happen when it's rising. So here inside the bowl, as I was mixing it, it pulled away from the edges. Everything came combined, so I'm just going to go ahead and take it off my dough hook. There we go. You'll see that it all came together here. And if I take it and turn it out onto this counter, you can go ahead and add a little bit of flour to the counter if you like. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it out onto the counter. Just make sure everything's incorporated and come together. Like I said, it's good to feel your doughs so you know kind of what's going on with them and what stages they're at. So that's everything we need to do to get this dough together. Just going to knead it, like I said, a little bit more. And it should be fairly elastic already. Feels fairly smooth. Fairly good to go. So it's not going to need a lot of work here at all. There we go. Okay. So there we go. This actually worked pretty well in the mixer. Everything came together good. So all you have to do is take a little oil. You can look the tub however you want. I just got this olive oil spray here, which I prefer to use. Go ahead and take your dough, toss it in the tub. I like to roll the dough around just so the oil coats all the sides, and then I put my major seam side down in the tub. Put our lid on, and then we're just going to leave this to proof for 2 hours. And in the meantime, in that 2 hours, what we need to go ahead and do is get our filling made for the babka, and that's what we'll show you next. Now that we have our dough proofing in the tub, we want to go ahead and get the filling going. This is going to be filling for 2 babkas because that's how much the dough makes. So it's going to be 2 packages of cream cheese, which you'll go ahead and just toss right on in there. Now I find it's best to have softened all this cream cheese up for a couple hours before we go ahead and begin doing this. Otherwise it's just going to be really difficult. So you get your cream cheese in there, go ahead and get that going. And while that's going, we're going to go ahead and add in sugar. This is going to be a cup plus about 2 tablespoons of sugar. Go ahead and cream that all together. Once that is creamed together, you're going to go ahead and add in a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then 1 egg yolk. There we go. And then finally, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of flour. Once we've done all that, I find it's best, like I said earlier, to separate this into 2 containers. It's a lot easier than trying to eyeball it at the end and break it into 2 separate amounts that are pretty equal. So we'll go ahead and get that done now, and then after we've separated into 2 different containers, we'll just set those aside and wait for our proofing to finish. Now that it's been a bit of time and our dough has proofed, as you can see we've got a lovely dough here, we're going to go ahead and work it out onto this scale right here just to see how much it weighs. In my case I got 1367 in grams. Just go ahead and cut that in half. So in this case we're going for roughly 680 or so. We got 643 and 722. So we'll just take a little bit of this off. No problem, that's close enough. We don't have to be too crazy, but close. So once we got that, we want to go ahead and get our dough out here. You're going to want to go ahead and roll it out into a big, large, flat area. In this case, we're going to go for about 13 inches by 18 inches on our dough that we're going to roll it out to. And then once we get done rolling this dough out, as you see, I'm not being too crazy or specific about it. I'm just trying to get the general shape because we're going to roll it all up. So you can see, got about 18 here, got about 13 here. There we go. So that's pretty close to what we want it to do. Now that we got it all there. All right. So once you got your dough all rolled out, you're going to take one of the containers of cheese filling that we had prepared earlier, because remember we had made that and then divided it in two. And take one of them and spread it out onto the bread. So we'll go ahead and do that. Get all of it in here. There's a lot of flavor there, so we don't want to leave that in the bowl, right? So there we go. There we go. Leave a little for the kids. So get that all spread out in here, just like that. And I find it's good to keep it about an inch or so away from that border, because we're going to want the dough to seal up a bit. So there we go. Now you can, if you had wanted to, whipped that cream cheese and whole mixture till it was a bit smoother than I did. I find it is not too big of a deal, and I like a little bit of lumps. It kind of leaves a little bit of cheese pockets here and there when the bread's all finally baked. So we've gone ahead and got all that done, got it all off there. I'll just use my bench scraper since I've got here. Blast it out off there. And then this is the secret to my babka, and you can have your own secret too if you don't like this, but I take some huckleberries. I take about a quarter cup of those and sprinkle them throughout the bread. Now if you don't have huckleberries where you live, I'm sorry. They're wonderful. Alright, so I got those all on there. Now you got to go ahead and take it and you're going to roll it up. So go ahead and just get it here and just begin slowly working it over there. And you want to try to make sure that everything is going to get dispersed evenly through it in the layers. And then on this last bit here, we're going to go ahead and kind of tuck it up. Help keep that cheese, because some of it's kind of pushed its way this way, from rolling out. You can kind of give that a little pinch along the way, seal that up, just like that. You can be more precise if you want, but I find that there's kind of these little happy accidents that happen if a little bit leaks out, and it looks good and it tastes good, so we're not going to worry too much about that. We are going to make sure though to twist or pinch our ends, and then take the whole roll and kind of give it a twist along the way. There we go. You can kind of twist it along the mat or whichever way works for you on that. As you see, so we got it all twisted up, just like so. And then I use an angel food baked pan. I just spray it again with the same stuff I sprayed my proofing tub with. Take your babka, go ahead and put it in your pan. Set it in there like that. And we're going to go ahead and cover it with saran wrap and let this sit for 1 hour. In an hour time, we're going to put a topping on it, which we will make in about 45 minutes. And we'll sprinkle that on with an egg wash and then cook the whole thing. So in the meantime, go ahead and take that. I put plastic wrap on it, and then I just cover it with a kitchen towel. Kind of helps protect from everything else. And like that, set it aside for 45 minutes to an hour, and we'll see you about then. So in about 10-15 minutes before your babka is done doing its final proof, and that's what I got the timer over there doing, you're going to go ahead and make a crumble mixture for the top. And that is going to be 8 tablespoons of sugar. You're going to mix in 6 tablespoons of flour. And I just used my pastry blender to toss it together. And then you're going to go ahead and put in half a stick of butter. And just kind of whip that up into a crumble. And when the babka is done with its final bit of proofing here, we're going to take this crumble and sprinkle it over the top of the babka after putting a little egg wash on that. So we'll do that in about 10 minutes. Alright, so it's been about an hour since we put these in these pans to proof. Take a look at them. They look really great. So what we're going to go ahead and do with them now is I'm going to grab the crumble that I made. We have an egg wash here, which is made from the leftover egg whites that we have from all the egg yolks that we put into the babka. So go ahead and just brush the tops of your babka with the egg wash, and then we're going to sprinkle the crumb on the top. Once we finish doing all this, we'll go ahead and toss them into the oven, again at 350, and they'll go in there for about 45 minutes, and we'll check them then. And we should be seeing some nice browning, but we'll get to that point in a second in the video. So yeah, let me just do one of these and I'll worry about the other after I finish doing this one. So, there we go. I'm going to take a spoon, drawer, just take our crumble, sprinkle it around. Now I like to use my hand to make sure it kind of stays on top. Some of it will still kind of dribble down and do that, but that way you get that nice, beautiful top that you're looking to have on this. Because of course you're not going to eat the whole babka by yourself. You show it off to your friends and family, and the recipe I've shown you here today always makes two. Because some baked goods are just better when you make some for yourself and you make some to share with other people. Alright. So as you know what, I'll go ahead and I'll bring you around here to take a look at this. So here we go. Now we sprinkled that on top. Sprinkle that on top. We'll do the other babka, toss them in the oven, and then we'll take a look at them in 45 minutes. Alright. Alright, so the timer just went off. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at what we have here, and they look just about perfect. So we'll go ahead and pull both of these out of the oven here and put them on a rack to cool, and then when they're done cooling for about 5 minutes or so, 10 minutes, we'll go ahead and try and begin getting them out of these pans. And here we have it, our finished babka. As I said, we made two. So let's prove just that we got both of them here. And they look excellent. The next and final step is to cut into them.